What's up YouTube, it's TRS or the real smug here, and today I'm doing a follow-up build on my last video. That last video was when the changes first came out, so it wasn't the most optimized build. It was just there to help people get a basic concept of the whole change, well, basic to a degree. So today I'm going to be showing you the build that I'm using for all content now that has been optimized to my liking, so it might not be for everyone. So I'm just gonna get right into it, and just remember, if you do enjoy the content, feel free to hit a like and subscribe as well. So first I'm gonna start with the gear. So as you can see, I'll do race. That's a racing gear, so it comes under the same thing. As you can see, since the last video, I'm now a GIF because of the 5% combat advantage. It just comes into, it's just so nice of a bonus. I didn't need the power essentially from the DB. That's why I switched to this. The crit had been nice. The crit, you see later, would actually work. But the headpiece I'm using is the Blessed Barissa's Horn. If you don't have this, you could always use the Blessed Hood. You could use the Blessed Hood of the Quiet. Bear in mind, this is all tier 3 equipment, so it's not the cheapest of gear to acquire or the easiest. If you've got a group here, you can accomplish it in a day. So you can use, in all honesty, you can use any 4 of the hoods that are here. You could use the Barissa's Horn, which I've currently got equipped, the Blessed Hood. You could use the Line Guard Headpiece, even though that'd be the most pain in the ass to balance around because it's more power on a build that don't need more power. And then obviously you've got the Helm of the Side Blazer, which is more combat advantage on a single target. Which, if you use this one, the companion setup will be a little different, so the stats would be a little different, but no major. You'd be like dropping 3% crit for combat advantage. So it's what it is. Obviously it's a dark in the utility slot because Forte is like the old companion influence. It fills out holes in spots. So with me being a hunter, it's power, accuracy and deflection, so it helps with them areas. Next is the chest piece, which I'm using the Boned Devil's Ribcage. Everyone should be using this because the gain from it is just head and shoulders above everything else. It's 12.5% crit strike and critical severity once it's fully procced at 5 stacks, and getting to 5 stacks and maintaining it on a hunter is easy. So just best in slot, and as you can see, I've swapped to a Shadowclad from the back jump because just the way the Shadowclad reads, it's just nice. When receiving damage, each hit adds 8% to your deflection and 4% to your defense for 6 seconds. This stacks up to 8 times. So you technically could get 68% deflection, 8 to 64, and then obviously 32 defense. So it just makes more sense in the backshield, since the backshield only has 4 hits and the biggest hit being 52,000. The backshield just a bit meh now since they neutered it pretty much. And then obviously in the defense slot, I've got an assassin in this because it's just what I had. You can technically put anything in your defensive slots because the stat difference isn't huge between whichever ones you use, so just use whatever you want in a defensive slot. Just don't use use whatever you want apart from Radiance, because hit points are meh. Best way of putting it. So obviously the armor reinforcement kits on the two pieces have been crit strike so far as well. Now on to the arms. The arms is accuracy on the reinforcement kits. I'll say that before I forget. Obviously the divine red bracelet it's just adding power when you hit a target to cap out that power. And then it's a dark in utility. Dark's in all my utility slots. Because everyone got a buff to incoming healing. So it kinda makes the boots on this build null and void essentially. So you get the damage buff, but the incoming healing isn't as bad as what it once was. Healing's just a whole different kettle of fish at the moment, so yeah, I'll leave that to the healers. Next, you'll see the weapon set I'm using is the Mirage weapon set. I finally got round to getting it, and at the point of me recording this, so keep this in mind, is the Mirage weapons have not been nerfed yet. So they are still best in slot on console till we receive that nerf, and then it's going to be a testing at that point to see if they're still better or not. Because the damage of them is getting nerfed by 50%, I believe. I could be wrong with the percentage it's getting nerfed by, but I've been informed it's 50%. So there could still be best in slot situationally depending on how the numbers work out. But I'm obviously still using a Vorpal to cap out that crit severity and crit. You could, if you don't want to cap out them two stats, you could technically go Bileforn if you wanted to, for the extra little bit of damage. Because Bileforn, it does accumulate over time, so longer the fight, the more damage it would accumulate over the Vorpal, essentially. And obviously assassins in the offense slots to balance out stats. Enchants nowadays they're not irrelevant, but they're not exactly the most important thing to the build now. And then obviously the Mirage actually, one thing I did forget to, the artifact is enhanced aim shot. So you've got to improve the damage of aim shot because it's the main at will that we use. And then obviously we got the Mirage offhand, which is assassin in offense and silver in defense. The main defensive stat of a hunter is deflection, but like I said prior, it don't make that big of a difference. The bonuses on this are forte and accuracy. You will see on the stats later, accuracy is the best fit here, and forte is just nice to have. If you didn't have a Vorpal and you had Bileforn instead, you could technically get away with using the critical severity. But mine originally rolled with critical severity, that's why I've got unlocked. But forte is the way to go. Obviously the boots are the rusted iron leggings, because they're just, that 5% is just not beaten by anything at the moment. And yet again, it's the accuracy armor reinforcement kit. Next we're going to the neck and waist, which for all DPS classes, regardless of what you are, the best ones you'll want will be the music set, which is a gel tattered mantle, and obviously the cable for the waist. But just the damage buff from it is just huge for us HRs. We can keep it up constantly because how fluorescent action points with a daily, obviously daily only costs 25%. in that 10 seconds you could technically make 20% of that back, plus with other stuff that you would throw into your utilities. Your action points should never run out. You might run low, but you'll never run out. You'll see the decrease, but then you'll have stuff proc and you'll regain it, like Bloodlust and Black Ice. Well, yeah, Corrupted Black Ice into Overlords. So of course, just Tattered Mantle for the neck and waist. The rings, this is interesting. The rings are to balance the stats out. Obviously, I'm using the Blooming Ring of the Ivy. You could go with the pure crit here if you wanted to. The pure crit ring is which one is it? The Striking Ring of the Vengeance. So that would help with the melee damage of this build. So Longstriders, Constricting and Hindering. But I personally just balancing my stats out a little better using the Blooming Ring of the Ivy. So I would recommend using the Striking Ring over the Blooming Ring. I'm personally using it to balance out, obviously. So that's how you could optimize this build to be a little more efficient when it comes to DPS, by swapping them two rings out. And obviously the second ring is the Silver Ring of the Herald. Your at will do 3% more damage. It's accuracy combat advantage, because you may notice that accuracy is the lowest offensive stat on this build. So accuracy is not that important of an offensive stat, but you still need some. I know there's a misconception of people out there that are like running stupidly low accuracy, like 50%. I won't run any lower than what this build is running, because I've played around with it a little bit, and the difference is there when you put more accuracy on, but it's not huge. And when I mean it's not huge, I mean probably less than 1% easier from what I've personally tested. So next is obviously the rings have brought Black Ice in to balance stats. And obviously a Black Ice in the neck. And then obviously the belt is dark and silvery. The shirt I'm using is the upper pack brand of the Blaze Bound. Its thingy stamina is over 75%, your power is increased by 5k. The only time you'll ever use the stamina on this build is if you rip aggro off the tank. So the way tanking works at the moment, it's more difficult for tanks to hold aggro, so we're more likely to tear it off people at the moment. There is a patch coming to make tanking better, but if you're using this build if you're going to use this build for the moment, expect to pull aggro. So just bear that in mind. It's a high aggro build. So obviously I've got Tenebris in this, because Tenebris is so nice. And then the last one is Panzer the Vicious Interrogator. The pants, you can use whatever ones from the tier 3 you want to. These are just the ones that I acquired before the combat rework. Technically you would prefer the flexion pants, but the defense ones will do. But the bonus on it is just nice as well. Whenever you crit strike with your power, you have 10% chance of getting 25% action points. So you've got to think, if you're critting and you get the 10% chance, that's a tenth of your daily back from critting, because our daily costs 250. So the basic math works is the pants are just better for us than it is other classes. The 4 times as good as for us. And obviously the artifacts are the Wyvern knives, to just stat balance, because it's a nice spread. It's crit severity, crit strike, accuracy, just nice spread. Sapphire Flowers, which is just another power crit strike awareness, The awareness isn't huge for us, but the power and crit is nice. You could technically swap this out for something else if you wanted to. You could drop the awareness for hit points if you really wanted to. Yeah, and as you can see, I'm a completionist. I game top 100. But yeah, you could quite literally swap out for any power crit artifacts you really wanted to. I just like having the Staff of Flowers because it's just what I've always gone to. But like I said, you can use whatever. Obviously, I've got the music box to finish off the music box set. And then the main one I'm using is the Charm of the Serpent. The reason I'm using Charm of the Serpent is because not many people have this artifact to use as a debuff. There is a plethora of debuffing artifacts out there, so use whichever one you want. If you really want to, you could go 3 journals with the music box, so you won't have a debuff artifact, but your personal, I'm personally against using a personal because why would 5% of my damage be better than, let's say, 16%, or so let's say 12% because the tooltip is wrong with the charm. It's 12%, not 16. So 12% of everyone else's damage will outweigh 5% of my own. I don't see where the argument is when it comes to using personal of a debuff. I know with the journal did have the constant set bonus of the Lost Map set, but that bonus really ain't that huge. It's like 2.5k for 3k, which I know eventually it would add up, but still the percentage will just outweigh, and plus technically you're buffing everyone else who's using a personal as well. So that's it for gear. So let's go on to booms. So as you can see, here are my booms spread. It's pretty much, this is just to balance out your stats. Obviously the master boom I'm using is Bloodlust because that's just, you know, best in slot. It decreases the targets by 1% per rank for 10 seconds, so that's 3%. Obviously you'll get an attack equivalent to 120% of your weapon damage, so with us being 53k, well with me being 53k, it's a considerable amount. And then obviously action point gain, it just helps with us, it's really nice. So feel free to just pause and adjust these how you see fit and according to your build. I know this ain't gonna, like I said earlier, this ain't gonna be for everyone. This is with what I'm personally using. There'll be some math geniuses out there who will be able to do some form of calculation that can make this build better. Obviously and then I'm gonna go to the guild booms. I'm using the Quick Strike boom because it just makes a 3k crit when you're critting. Well, not when you're critting, for Quick Strike to cap out your stats. Defensively, I'm using the defense boom. Ideally, like I said earlier, for a HR, you would want to use the deflect boom. We're in the process of sorting out the awareness boom, I believe. So I might be using that over defense, I've yet to see. Obviously in utility you would want to use red sickness for content. Like I said, we're working on getting the awareness boom up. Well, we're working on an agreement to get it started, because then we'll have it unlocked because the temple is awareness and red sickness. So that's pretty much it for the booms. Now onto the companion. As you can see, my summoned companion is Exuna because she just heals over everything at the moment. But if you really wanted to, you could use the Cold Iron Warrior, which I named Billy for some reason. Well, I'll go over something that someone asked about on the last video, is a augment companion. Ideally, the augment companion you would want to use on this build, if you truly want to use one. I would recommend the Wattler, which is combat advantage, awareness, and defense. It'll help you be that little bit more tankier. You'll have the 3k combat advantage from it, so you'll be able to swap out one of your rings for it. Swap out the combat advantage ring you've got on. So that'll, and then just put whatever stat you need at that point on there. To, balance your stats. I personally don't agree with using an augment, but I know some people do like to use them. So, but yeah, if you're going for an offensive companion to use, I would recommend Zuna for everything, because the Cold Iron Warrior is due to get nerfed soon. The equipment I'm using is 3 Blessed Talismans of the Companion, all with Indomitables in, because it's just to help get the accuracy up and balance the stats. It's just nice, because when we get to stats later on in the video, because I won't forget to put them in this time, you'll see what I mean by accuracy. Companion bonuses. I'm using the Battery, so because don't beat the Battery on single target. If you, sorry about that. If you want to swap out the Battery for something else, you could do this swap here. You could swap out the Alchemist to the Book Imp, and then you could put the Alchemist in the offense slot there. So you'd get that extra 3.75 crit chance, and obviously you get the extra 3.7 accuracy from the Book Imp as well. But I know not everyone can afford the Book Imp because it's an expensive companion. Like, not everyone can afford the Exuna. So that's why what I'd recommend instead of an Exuna is, if you don't have one, would be, where is it? All companions. I would recommend using an Air Icon if you can't afford an Exuna, because the Air Icon is pretty good. AI on it, it's a bit AI, I'm trying to find the word to describe the AI. It's not exactly the smartest. But yeah, I'm using Battery, Phase Spider, Staldorf, Wild Hunt Rider, because we can just keep the consistency of it up. I'm forever keeping it up. And then obviously the Alchemist in the utility slot. There is different variants of companions you could use. Like, for offense you could use, if you wanted to play around with your crit, you could use the Black Dragon Iron Sun. You've got the Book Imp. You've got the likes of Flame Sprite if you want accuracy and crit over combat. There's plethora of companions out there. Each build will be different when it comes to companions, so you've just got to play around with different variables, because you never know. There could be a combination out there that makes my stats slightly better, and another combination out there that would make my stats worse. But this is what I'm personally running at the moment. So let's move on to the mounts. So as you can see, I've got 2 epics, 2 legendaries, and 1 mythic collar. That's why this build took so long to come together, because I've only just upgraded the collar to mythic today. It's a 23 million endeavor to do. So the mythic collar is the Wayfaring Barbed Collar for the crit severity. Obviously I'm using brutalities and skill. The mount insignias are there to balance the stats essentially. The bonuses are nice, what I've got on it. Obviously 1 gladiators, 2 warlords to make Luna hit harder, and obviously 2 assassins to balance stats. So if I wanted to be that little bit more tankier, I'd take the assassins off. Obviously I'm going to scroll up through these so you'll see the collars, the mount insignias I've got on each one. I know this video is starting to drag on a little bit and we haven't even got the stats yet and it's already at 25 minutes. So I'm just going to scroll through them. Obviously the bonuses not bonuses, obviously the stuff I'm using is tunnel vision. Because every DPS should be using tunnel vision unless they've been assigned to a swarm or a T-Rex. And then the other bonus I'm using is optimization. Opportunist. I can't fucking say that word, I do apologise for that. It's a combat advantage. Because, like I said, it's just there to balance stats. All the stats in this build all accumulate to balance it out. So, that's pretty much everything other than stats. You've seen gear, you've seen... I think the only thing I ain't shown you is the attribute rolls. You get a sneak peek at the stats right there. As you can see, all white or green. And the ability swords are as you see on your screen. So, I'm going to show you the rotation now. The rotation will be down in the comments. It's a rotation that fits me. So it might not be for everyone. I know in the last video I got a couple of comments saying the rotation was hard. If you're not used to it, I can see how it can be hard, but I am an experienced veteran player. The day one. So it comes natural to me. So I will show you it, but like I said, it'll be down in the comments down below. Right, so the rotation is daily, Longstriders, at will twice. Obviously while using M-Chop twice, you will be wanting to double tap to keep the rate of change buff up. And then you'll want Hindering, Constricting, while obviously it's double tapping between each action. So always got to keep the double tap up. So for the Constricting and Hindering, you will at will twice. So like so. And then you would use Gushing Wound, Constricting, Hindering, and repeat. As you can see, my action points coming into this weren't the greatest, so I'm just going to pop the horn to temporarily get them back. I should have been a little more prepared when coming into this bit, into this segment. So, if you are enjoying this video or find out the information useful, drop it a like while we wait for my action point to recharge, and subscribe if you want. You can always unsubscribe later down the line. It's not permanent. So let's just get into rotation. So daily, Longstriders, double at will while double tapping, Hindering, Constricting, double at will again, Gushing, Constricting, Hindering, or vice versa, whichever way you want it. So that is pretty much it for the rotation. Like I said, it will be down in the description and comments. So let's get into the stats. So as you can see on your screen, here are my stats. You've got my base stats, you've got my potted stats, well, you've got my stats, what pots I use during combat, what my stats are when they're potted, and what my peak stats are. So you can feel free to look at these at your own pace. So if you have enjoyed, just feel free to hit a like, and until next time,